Good evening, happy Wednesday, family. Glory and honor to our Father, Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and to Messiah, Yahweh Shah, the only begotten Son, the high priest of his people, the soon returning King of planet earth. Glory and honor to Father Yahweh, and to Messiah, Yahweh Shah. Greetings to the awakening 12 tribes of the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and also those among the Gentiles that are also grafted into the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob through faith in Messiah's righteousness and Father's righteousness. Greetings to all of you. Sister Jillian, Chauncey T, Gary Joseph, Brother Yafi, Brother Manny, Superstar EE, Two Shots Pronto, Brother Baldy Thorpe, Sister Love Blue, Brother Stephen Kelly. Shalom to all of you. Wednesdays, we usually go into current events. And of course, there's always material, always current event material available for us with respect to, and again, we're always comparing the current events to Bible prophecy. And this is no different. Now, aside from what we're getting ready to talk about, I just wanted to mention, I don't know if you heard, but there was a major set of earthquakes in Afghanistan, in the nation of Afghanistan, in the so-called Middle East. There was a series of very violent earthquakes and aftershocks that has killed more than 1,400 people. And the issue is these villages that they lived in, the places are basically a little bit better than mud huts. They're not built very strong to withstand an earthquake. Very few structures are. The magnitude was 6.3. And so it's very high magnitude, very powerful earthquake. But secondly, where the villagers and victims of this earthquake lived is in such a hilly area that supplies in terms of helicopter, in terms of help, in terms of planes, even in terms of vehicles, can't get there. And so, in fact, there was one story about a group of medical people with others that were volunteering to try to help find people that were buried. They had to walk 5 hours to just find one village. And they had to actually walk on foot 5 hours to find the one village. And so it's very difficult. Again, you see, brethren, man tries to bring his wrath with his weapons, with his inventions. The Most High usually uses his nature, and it's his. So he'll use earthquakes and tornadoes and hurricanes and floods, and he'll use typhoons, and he'll use famines and fires to speak to the people of planet Earth. He uses animals, as we saw in the Bible with respect to the Egyptians, Mizraim holding the children of Israel. The Father used things in nature to warn Pharaoh and to warn the Egyptians because he is the Most High of nature. And so he uses that to warn people. And these things, we had talked about this earlier this year after we saw the damages caused by last year's hurricane season in the United States, along with the tornadoes, along with the fires and the floods that we saw. And then earlier this year, we saw more catastrophic damages in San Antonio, Texas, and in North Carolina, and some cases of the East Coast from floods. And so we talked about this in terms of it getting, and will continue to get, progressively worse as we are now in the last days of the history of Babylon. So please, if you would remember, the Bible talks about a situation in Zechariah where the Most High says that he's going to punish the enemies of the Israel so hard that there'll be people in Israel asking for grace for the people receiving punishment. This is one of those situations. If you could please pray for help to come to those people. They're mostly just poor Muslim people in Afghanistan. And there are many countries that are trying to bring help but can't get there. And so a lot of people have died, and many more may die, both from being buried under rubble as well as starvation and exposure, because of these are the elements that come as a result of such a situation. So please remember these people, if you would, in prayer. Also, if you can remember my mom, she had to be taken to the hospital today. She had numbness on the left side of her body, and she had pain in the right side of her head. And we had bought her an emergency watch. She pressed the button, and they were afraid it was a stroke, but praise the Most High. We stayed in the hospital pretty much all day today. We just got back maybe 2 hours ago, and turns out she was dehydrated. She had been taking water pills, and I didn't know that the effect of that, what that would be, but the water pills dehydrated her, and she hadn't drank a lot of fluids over the last 48 hours. So the headache came, and with the headache came the symptoms of what may have been a stroke. They did test the CAT scan and EKG and all that, and found nothing. So we got, she still has the headache. We got her water. They gave her intravenous water, and hopefully she'll feel better. Just remember her in prayer if you would. We're just thankful that it wasn't as serious as it appeared when she hit the button and called for emergency to get there. So yeah, if you would keep my mom in your prayers, as well as the unfortunate victims of the serious earthquake that took place in Afghanistan. There'll be more of this. You can expect these things to continue to increase. As I said, not much time left of this system. Speaking of that, today's subject matter is, in fact, I put in the description box, let me make sure I'm not lying to you. I put in the description box not just one video. I put together a playlist that I entitled the playlist Americans Leaving America. That's the title of the playlist, because in that playlist, there are 9 videos of people leaving America. One thing, all of the people leaving America, and they're saying that the statistics are that American citizens are leaving the United States of America in record numbers. It is a combination of many things: the economy, the politics, the crime, especially the gun crime. And so people are feeling unsafe. They're feeling unsure of the economy. And of course, they are frightened by the politics and the political situation that we have in the United States. But what it really comes down to, in my view, is fear. People are scared. Whereas you and I have studied the prophecies of the Bible, and the Bible has let us know what is here and what's coming. Most people have not. And their Christian churches and their white Jesus is not going to tell them. It's not clearly going to show them what's going on. And so they're scared. And being that they're scared, they're trying to leave. And my wife and I are also looking into leaving, as I mentioned to you before, but I'm retired, and she's one, half step from retirement. And we could leave, but I'm talking about people with young families, people that are way before being able to get Social Security or retirement income. Some of them are just selling everything they have and putting all that money together and moving to another country. Some of them are running online businesses. Some of them are doing a combination of that. And then, of course, there are those that are of retirement age that are leaving also. But people are scared and they're leaving. Now, in talking about that with respect to today's subject, I was reading about Rahab. Now, you guys knew, most of y'all, who Rahab was. Rahab was the prostitute that the spies, Joshua sent 2 spies ahead of the nation. He sent 2 spies into the first city they came to when they were going to cross the Jordan River into the promised land, in the land of Canaan, was Jericho. And he sent 2 spies to spy out the situation. And the 2 spies came into the land, and they were hidden by a harlot. And it's very interesting what happened. Let's look at Joshua chapter 2. Joshua chapter 2. And this relates to what's going on, what we talked about people leaving America. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But let's look at Joshua chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 1. And I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse, from verse 1 down to verse 12. Okay. This is Joshua chapter 2 from verse 1 down to verse 12. Yep. And Joshua, the son of Nun, sent out of Chittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, "Go view the land, even Jericho." And they went and came into a harlot's house named Rahab, and lodged there. And it was told the king of Jericho, saying, "Behold, there came men in thither tonight of the children of Israel to search out the country." And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, "Bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, for they be come to search out all the country." And the woman took the 2 men and hid them, and said thus, "There came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were." And it came to pass about the time of the shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whither the men went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for ye shall overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof of the house, and hid them in the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order upon the roof. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan, unto the fords. And as soon as they were which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate. And before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof. And she said unto the men, "I know that Yahweh hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us. And all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how Yahweh dried up the water of the Red Sea for you. And when ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the 2 kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt. Neither did there remain in any more courage in any man because of you. For Yahweh your Most High, he is Most High in heaven above and in earth beneath. Now therefore, I pray you, swear unto me by Yahweh, since I have showed you kindness, that you will also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token." Verse 13. "And that ye will save alive my father and my mother and my brethren and my sisters and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death." Now, let's discuss Rahab for a minute. Obviously, the Bible says she was a harlot. But do you know what the name Rahab means, or Rahab? Do you know what that means? If you look it up, you will find the name Rahab means proud. It means proud. And so she was a proud woman. Okay, it means proud. It is also the name Rahab. The Bible says, when you look it up, and I'm beginning sometimes to not trust all of the translators, but not in this case. So in this case, Rahab is also, check this out now, the Bible lists it as an epithet for Egypt. That's what I'm going to show you a scripture that uses it that way. The Bible lists Rahab as proud, right? Very proud, but also an epithet for Egypt. And Egypt was what? Proud. Who is Yahweh? I don't know who he is, and I'm not letting the children of Israel go. Epithet means like a negative connotation. Like, you ever heard of a racial epithet, right? So instead of calling us human beings or black men, there is a certain racial epithet that people use to describe us. There's epithets for Yes, a slur. Exact. Thank you, Stephen Kelly. Stephen Kelly always come up with the right. That's it. It's a slur. So it's a slur. So it's a slur for Egypt. Okay. That's what Rahab means. Now, let's talk about this. She was a proud woman. She had her men and she got paid by her men, right? She was a harlot. But let's look at it more closely. She was a proud woman. She was a harlot. That means she got paid by selling her body. She was a melanated woman. How do we know she was a melanated woman? She was a proud woman. She was a melanated woman. And how do we know that? She was a Canaanite. Where did the Canaanites come from? Where do Canaanites come from? That's right. Where do Canaanites come from? They come from Ham. Okay. So she was a Hamitic, proud, harlot woman. She must have been beautiful. So even though she was proud, even though being a harlot, she was separated from her mother and father, she obviously loved her family. Because notice what she said in verse 13, and that ye will save alive my father and my mother and my brethren and my sisters and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. So she loved her family, even though she was a proud woman, she was a harlot. She loved her family. Okay. Now, being that she was a proud woman, you can kind of see why she would be defiant in her profession, right? And we see that today. We see that today. There are proud, defiant people, defiant in their sin, defiant in how they live, proud and defiant. But I will say this before we go forward. There is none more proud or defiant than Rahab, the Christian church. We'll talk more about that. But so Rahab was proud and defiant. And she also learned, okay, she also learned to have fear and respect in that fear of Yahweh. See, this is part of the problem of prideful people, is they're disrespectful. A lot of, especially among Hebrews, but all marriages break up because of lack of respect. And among, unfortunately, a lot of sisters, there's a lot of disrespect to the brothers. Okay? So Rahab was a proud woman that made her money selling her body, but she loved her family. But notice what she said again. Verse 9 of Joshua chapter 2, verse 9. And she said unto the men, I know that Yahweh hath given you the land, and that your terror is falling upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how Yahweh dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the two kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we had heard these things, notice she clued herself. She said, our hearts did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For Yahweh, your most high. No, watch what she said now. Yahweh, your most high. He is most high. In heaven above and in earth beneath. So she now found a real God that she can respect and worship. This proud prostitute who was defiant against everybody. She found a God that could give her a salvation that she could worship and respect. And so she let the brothers know, your God is the true God. She gave the props to the Most High Yahweh. Okay, right. And she risked her life to protect the men of that God, so that she swallowed her pride and surrendered to Israel. And later, Later, she married a man. Let's look in Esther. Not Esther, Ruth. 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 Ruth, the last chapter of Ruth, I believe. Yes, Ruth, chapter 4. And I'm going to, this is where Ruth becomes one of the wives of Boaz. Okay, so now verse 13, Ruth chapter 4, verse 13. So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went in unto her, Yahweh gave her conception, and she bare a son. And the woman said unto Naomi, Blessed be Yahweh, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. You must understand, this child that Boaz and Ruth had was in the name of Naomi's children, her son that died. That was Ruth's original husband. That's why Boaz had her. He was raising up seed to Naomi's son that was Ruth's husband at first, right? And then verse 15, and he shall be unto thee a restorer of life and a nourisher of thine old age, for thy daughter-in-law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, hath borne him. And Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and became nurse unto it. And the women of her neighbors gave a name, saying, There is a son born to Naomi. And they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. Now these are the generations of Pharez. Pharez was Judah's son by his daughter-in-law, whose husband died. Pharez begot Hezron. Hezron begot Ram. Ram begot Amminadab. Amminadab begot Nahshon. Nahshon begot Salmon. Salmon begot Boaz. Boaz begot Obed. Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David. The thing here is, look at Salmon. Boaz's father was named Salmon. Who was his mother? Let's look at Matthew. Who was Boaz's mother? You see, his father was named Salmon, a Hebrew Israelite, and Boaz, a Hebrew Israelite of the tribe of Judah. Well, who was Boaz's mother? Let's take a look. The Bible tells us. This is Matthew chapter 1. Matthew chapter 1. Who was Boaz's mother? Let's look at verse 5. Matthew chapter 1, verse 5. And Salmon begot Boaz of Rahab. The same Rahab. Salmon begot Boaz of Rahab. See, the only time they tell you the woman in Matthew is because the woman wasn't originally an Israelite. Like, it tells you that Solomon was begotten of David by the wife of Uriah, right? And then now it tells you Boaz begot Obed, but before that, Solomon begot Boaz of Rahab. It's the same Rahab, okay? It's the same one. So they took Rahab the harlot and her mother and her father and all her family, and they kept them outside the camp. Look, this is Judges. I mean, no, not Judges, Joshua. They put them outside the camp. I'm going to start at verse, back to Joshua chapter 6. Joshua chapter 6. And I'm going to start at verse 22. Joshua chapter 6, verse 20. Actually, I'm going to start at verse 21. Joshua chapter 6 from verse 21 down to verse 27. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, ox and sheep and ass, with the edge of the sword. But Joshua had said unto the 2 men that had spied out the country, Go into the harlot's house and bring out thence the woman and all that she had, as ye swear unto her. And the young men that were spies went in and brought out Rahab and her father and her mother and her brethren and all that she had. And they brought out all her kindred and left them without the camp of Israel. And they burnt the city with fire and all that was therein. Only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and of iron they put into the treasury of your house of Yahweh. And Joshua saved Rahab, the harlot alive, and her father's house, and all that she had. And she dwelt in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers of Yahushua that sent to spy out Jericho. And Yahushua assured them at that time, saying, cursed be the man before Yahweh that rises up and buildeth this city, Jericho. And he laid the foundations thereof in his firstborn, and his youngest son shall he set up the gates of it. So Yahweh was with Yahushua, and his fame was noise. So Rahab became an Israelite, married Solomon, and had Boaz of the lineage of David, of the lineage of Messiah. And why? Because she gave up her pride to a God she respected, to a God she said is the true God. She gave up her false religion. She gave up her harlotry, and she had Boaz, who became a wealthy man. Most High blessed him. Praise the Most High. So she repented. But Rahab means proud. Let's go to Psalm 89. Psalm 89. Psalm 89 talks about how the Father deals with such ones. Psalms 89. I'm going to start at verse 8. Oh, wait. I got to start at verse 1. No, I got to start at verse 1. And I'm going to go from verse 1 down to verse 10. This is Psalm 89 from verse 1 to verse 10. The reason I'm going to start at verse 1 is because the early part of Psalms 89 shows us how eternal the covenant between Father Yah and his bloodline is. This is Psalms 89 beginning at verse 1. I will sing of the mercies of Yahweh forever. With my mouth will I make known thy faithfulness to all generations. For I have said, mercy shall be built up forever. Thy faithfulness shalt thou establish in the very heavens. I have made a covenant with my chosen. I have sworn unto David my servant, thy seed will I establish forever, and build up thy throne to all generations. And the heavens shall praise thy wonders, O Yahweh, thy faithfulness also in the congregation of the saints. For who in the heaven can be compared unto Yahweh? Who among the sons of the mighty can be likened unto Yahweh? The Most High is greatly to be feared in the assembly of the saints, and to be had in reverence of all them that are about him. Isn't that what Rahab? She had him in reverence. Praise the Most High. O Yahweh, Most High of hosts, who is strong, a strong Yahweh like unto thee, or to thy faithfulness round about thee. Verse 9, thou rulest the raging of the sea. When the waves thereof arise, thou stillest them. Thou hast broken Rahab in pieces, as one that is slain. Thou hast scattered thine enemies with thine strong arm. So he broke Rahab, that is the name of Egypt, or the name of the proud, in pieces. Now, this is the thing. The Most High has said clearly, as we just read, and in many other places, as we know, that the throne of David, of the tribe of Judah, shall be established forever. So we already know that the kingdom of Yah is on the throne of David, and that he has told the devil and everybody else, this kingdom is going to be established forever, even forever and ever. Now, in Babylon, there's been many kingdoms. None of them last. There's been many kingdoms. Okay? There's been many kingdoms. There's been many dynasties. Chinese dynasties, African dynasties, European dynasties. There have been dynasties all over the earth. None of them last. And none of them ever will. Why? Because the Father's telling Asatan, none of your Babylonian dynasties are going to last. The throne of David is going to last forever. But that does not stop them from being Rahab, proud. And in fact, notice what the Bible says with respect to the prideful Babylon, which is the modern system in which we live. This is Revelation chapter 18. I'm going to look at Revelation chapter 18. I'm going to start at verse 7. Revelation 18:7. And I'm going to read verse 7 and 8. How much, talking about Babylon, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Yahweh Most High, who judgeth her. She is most proud, but she's going down. She's most proud, but she's going down. Yeah, Laodicea, isn't that Laodicea? Thou sayest, I am in need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. I counsel thee to buy of me, what did he say? Gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. And anoint thy eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. And as many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. That's the Babylonian style of Rahab. That's the white Jesus Christian church and all of its ilk. Man-made religion. Proud. I sit as a queen, am no sorrow, shall see no widowhood. The Bible says you're going to see it. You're going to be destroyed. Babylon's going to be destroyed, and it will not be able to stand. Yes, most proud is how the Bible describes it. Most proud. And in fact, let's look at the devil, which is the author of all these man-made religions, and how the Bible uses Job to describe him. Notice Job chapter 41. He is the Leviathan. Job chapter 41. And I'm going to begin at verse, let's see. I'm going to start at verse 31 of Job 41 and read down to verse 34. This is Job chapter 41 from verse 31 to 34. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be Ori. Upon earth there is none. There is not his like, who is made without fear. He beholdeth all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. He is a king over all the children of pride. The Leviathan, that is Asatan. Okay, and so you have Rahab, who was blessed to have the fear of the Most High and respect to the Most High and acknowledge with her mouth the Most High and his people. And thereby she went from being a harlot to being a woman that was part of the lineage of Messiah himself. Two, you have Babylon, who is, the Bible says, is most proud, and thinks he'll never end, and they will see no sorrow, and they will have no problems. Most proud. And so you have two, what's the word before? Two object lessons of Rahab. You have the one that was proud, harlot, defiant, but she humbled herself and she became part of the children of Israel. Then you have another one that is Laodicea. Says, I am rich and increase with goods and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. And so you have the people that are leaving the United States. They're represented in part by the first Rahab. They're recognizing, and this is the thing, they know something's wrong. They also know something bad is coming. Okay, they also know something bad is coming. They can't put their finger on it, but they feel it. And the fear is causing them to take action. Okay, fear is causing, and Mary Magdalene's right. Same thing, Brother Will. Same thing. The fear, Mary Magdalene loved her brother and her sister, but she did what she was doing, right? Until she ran into someone that represented a God she can respect, not the God of the Sanhedrin, not the God of the Pharisees and Sadducees, the God of the Messiah. And through Messiah, she got a glimpse of the Father. And she humbled herself so that she became the first one he showed himself to when he come up out the tomb. She became the one that he sent as the messenger. Go tell my brothers to meet me in Jericho. I mean, not Jericho, but to meet me. He said, go tell my brothers to meet me. Where did he tell them to meet him? There. Galilee. He said, I go before you into Galilee. Go tell my brothers to meet me in Galilee. He sent her to tell. They should have known, but they doubted her. But they should have known because of how much she loved the Messiah and how much the Messiah showed that he loved her and her sister, Martha, and their brother, Lazarus. Okay, praise the Most High. So you're seeing now people feel something in the air. They know something bad is coming. But because they're not us, they're not being given the word, they don't know exactly what's happening. And it makes them even more scared. They're like reaching in a dark room, knowing something's bad going to hurt them in that room and can't see it. And so they're leaving. They're leaving and trying to get out of here as fast as they can. Many people, they said there's someone estimated that there's 9 million people that are now living outside the U.S., but they counted also military personnel who are stationed overseas in other countries included in that 9 million. But there's certainly, I know that it's verified that there's more than 1 million Canadian and American citizens living in Mexico permanently, more than 1 million. And people are moving to Spain, and a lot of the Caucasians are moving to Europe. And it would make sense because it's their cousins, but I'm saying it's their culture is closer to the culture that people, Caucasian in the American system would be comfortable with. So, they're closer to Albania. A lot of them moving to Albania. A lot of them moving to Spain, Portugal, some moving to Italy, some moving, they're moving into different European countries where they're more comfortable. But then there's others, especially the Hebrews, moving to South American countries, moving to Central American countries, and moving to Asia. A lot of Hebrews doing that. Most of them are retired, but I'm noticing a lot more that just run businesses, run Airbnbs, run online businesses, teach English online, and they're using those monies to live elsewhere and live outside. So it's happening now. People can feel it. And you have in the Philippines, right? And you have people that are sensing something bad is coming. They don't know what it is, and it makes them even more scared. And then when you hear the rhetoric from the current political climate coming, it makes even of their cousins scared to stay in the United States. And so, people are now trying to get out. And like I said, I remember a couple of people, one couple in particular, her and her husband had 2 little kids, and they owned their house. Well, they didn't own it outright, but they have been in it for 12 years and built up equity in it. They sold their house. They sold all of their possessions, and they're moving to the Netherlands. And they're moving to the Netherlands of all countries. They're moving there. A lot of people moving to Canada. A lot of people are leaving the United States of America. And what it is that they have to give up that pride. All of them report how online people are getting nasty. You should stay and fix it. You can't fix this system. That's a cop out to think that one person should stay in this corrupt system because they should stay and fix it. I mean, that's so naive. You got politicians that run to Washington trying to fix, and they become part of the cesspool. There's no one man that can fix the system of Babylon. And why? We know, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the powers of the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. You're not going to change that. You're not going to change that. All you can do is flee. And you can flee when you're smart with the guidance that Rahab showed, the guidance of the God of Jacob. He said, we heard about what your God did. He's the true God above all other gods. We heard what he did, and all the people are scared of you. That got her respect and her attention enough so that she risked her own life to protect the spies. You're going to see more of that. It's just like, look, of all of the people, I don't know how many people lived in Jericho, but let's assume it was more than Rahab and her family. It was a guarded place. It was a big wall around the place to protect the city. And so you have to figure there was a lot of people in there, but only Rahab and her family that were inside. And for them, the lamb's blood represented that red scarlet thread that she put outside the window of her house. That red scarlet thread, who's ever inside that house was safe. And they told her, they said, who's not inside that house, their life is on their own hands. And only them were delivered. Just so, as we're now speaking, and as we're talking about people leaving the United States, only those people that trust under the shadow of the Father Yah are going to be protected. Everybody else is not. It's going to get rolled on. This whole system. Remember that statement? Somebody used to say, man, he got rolled on. What does that mean? That means a bunch of power overpowered somebody and beat them down. So, he got rolled on. Well, let me tell you. This whole Babylon system with its man-made religion, with its man-made politicians, with its man-made political and economic system, with its corruption, it's going to get rolled on. And only the remnant of those that trust in the same God of Jacob are going to have that scarlet thread in their windows, are going to have that lamb's blood over them to keep them safe from what's coming. Praise the Most High. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.